Here we are at the bend on the 8th of the 8th Lionsgate portal for the Openpitlane track day, and we're going to the east track today, which is all the way over the other side. The boys get the radical ready and they flex their manly muscles. And let's hear that roar, Dean. The morning started off very wet and rainy. Let's see how Dean's first lap goes.
With the wet weather, we decided that we'd throw the wet weather tyres on, which took us half the morning to sort out. And then we saw that the weather was clearing and a bit of a dry line, so we put the slicks back on, so we never even drove with the wet. So you can see that the track is still very, very wet, but at least it stopped raining, so we figured, I'll just try and get some heat into the tyres. At this stage, I've only just got enough heat in the engine to even run it. But look at this water just skimming over. Scary as shit, because I have no idea how slippery it's going to be. Visibility's still pretty crap. I'm getting a few splashes on my visor, but I know that these tyres are just dead cold, and it's going to take a lot to get any sort of heat into them, if even that's possible. But I know at this sort of speed, it's not possible to get heat into them. Zero trust for the aero as well. Look at this. This is just scary. We're starting to stretch the legs a little bit. I've got confidence in, I know the track quite well. I got confidence in the aero for the straight line, but just really had no idea on what it was going to do around the corners. So everything was very, very delicate in these first laps. Gaining a bit more confidence in the corners and getting into a bit of a rhythm, but still incredibly careful and really looking behind me at other cars too, because at this stage, of course, the other cars have a lot more grip, mechanical grip than I do for sure. The idea was that I'd go and do several laps in this kind of weather and get to know really what the limitations are, where the problem areas are at, and just try and get some heat into the tyres. Because I knew that if I just went out for 1 or 2 laps, I'd just come in and wouldn't have had any warmth. So so the priority was to just run several laps. Letting these dudes past. Okay, into the second lap, getting a bit more confident. I've let another dude past and following these guys around. You can see that it's still fairly damp. Delicately around the S's. Yep, letting this dude here past too. Watching the throttle. All these big puddles. There you can see there is a dry line sort of forming in the middle. A little bit of a whoopsie, so that's it's a really, really good show of how quickly it does lose control, completely unexpected. That can usually go through there a lot faster than that. So we'll just get it back on track, reversing up, knowing that the wet grass would be very, very difficult to keep kind of moving forward. So I thought I'd go the shortest route, which is in reverse, which is hard to get into. Zip it around. And that's the one time I spun out in the whole day. So I learned from that and gradually built up my speed from then onward. So in that session I done a few laps. This is the best lap that I did that session. There was still quite a wet track, but I was finally getting some warmth into the tyres and getting to know my way around the track a little bit better as far as what the conditions were allowing and what the car was allowing. So 2 minutes 22 I was quite happy with, really. I'm not sure what sort of times I used to do in the old Porsche, but it probably wasn't much different than about 2 minutes 22 in the first place. So you can see I'm still catching other cars at this speed, so it's still fairly rapid, really. But of course, in radical terms, it doesn't look like much at all. You can see the throttle, I'm not really doing much with it, just kind of easing through. So the next step is to go and get Mark, and I thought I would do a couple of laps with Mark and show him where the dodgier spots are. So, like, you know, where I spun out, so that he can spin out less times. Or so I hoped. Okay, so sunny day now. Look at this massive difference. There's that big shiny thing in the sky, and the track is a different color, and it also has a different slipperiness. So this is going to be my my best session of the day. Get out there. We have a few hold-ups. Ironically, the drier the track, the more people had screw-ups. So as the track was drying during the day, people started coming off the track. So we did have a few stops and goes. But, you know, respectfully working my way through some traffic. Guys that were passing me or I was letting pass earlier in the day, I'm now able to sort of keep up with them and overtake them. So I noticed pretty quickly that the traction is there now. I've got warmth in the tyres, confidence that they're gripping. I can really feel it, and it's really starting to come to me. And so it's an amazing thing when your car comes to you and you've got that confidence. Love this part. All these right-handers, it's just amazing going through there. The G-forces, the speed. I think 170, 180, up to even 190 k's an hour through that section. Even through those S's, there's no body roll. It's amazing how capable it is through there. I think this is one of the cars that I let through earlier. Okay, so moving forward a little bit, I've done a few laps and really got into a groove, tested a few things, and so much more confidence. Look at this. Really stretching its legs now. you know, the whole car vibrates when the revs get up to like, you know, 8,000-9,000. It just starts vibrating and shaking. It's like, you don't even need to look at the rev counter or even hear it, because it just vibrates. You could just feel it. Oh, nice and smooth through here. Just being a little bit careful of this other car. So I don't think I had any perfect laps, so I think the best full lap was a minute 48, but I think the optimal was much less than that, much faster than that. Yeah, that's where I spun out earlier at a far lower speed than this. So I've spun out on that chicane quite a lot of times actually in the old car. Here we go for the best kind of triple rights that there are in roads, I think. Full throttle now. Oh. Not quite the confidence to go 100% full throttle, but it would have done it. It's just, you know, you're limited by the driver's courage, not the car's abilities. I'm pretty sure I've done my best lap for the day and starting to get fairly fatigued. The arms get really tired. It's a lot of weight. You're fighting the G-forces, and there's no power steering, and the wheel is really heavy going through. Especially those triple rights that I get so excited about. It's so heavy that you kind of feel like you're holding a few hundred kilograms, and if you let go, you die. And it's just all about your muscle tension, and so you're just hoping that you don't get a muscle spasm or something like that, because you're like you're holding on to your body weight off a cliff sort of thing. So it's a real experience to have. I've had that on those corners a few times too. It's a wonderful experience. So a little bit easier through there this time. Getting ready to wrap it up. Park it up. Give Mark a turn. And I think we call it a day after that.
And some happy snaps to finish off a good day.